If you've ever looked at an audition website and wondered what the different types of projects are, commercial, industrial, film, TV, and theater, then you're not alone. As an actor starting out in the industry, these are terms with which you may not be familiar. So we're going to talk about that today and some more coming up next on The Starting Actor. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Starting Actor. I am Vinnie Horst, and on this channel what we talk about is starting out in the acting and film and TV world and learning the tips and tricks and just some of the basics of working in this industry. So if that sounds like something of interest to you, then consider subscribing. Alright, so let's get right into it. On today's episode, we are going to be talking about the differences between the types of projects that you will see on audition websites and that you can work through as an actor in the industry. So I'm not going to get into too many details, but I just wanted to call out some of the basics of the differences, because I know that when I started out a couple of years ago, I came from corporate America, and we have words that mean certain things in corporate America, and you may have some definitions of words in your mind which may not match with what we talk about in the film, TV, and entertainment industry. So let's talk about that. The first one that always drove me crazy was the difference between a commercial and an industrial project. And so for me, coming from a corporate America background, commercial is about businesses. That's what I thought. Turns out that is not the case. That's what industrials are, but we'll get to that in a second. So commercials, what they have to do with, big surprise, is television commercials. Okay, so that once I heard that, and I really didn't believe it, because when I looked at through some of the commercial opportunities, if you will, on the casting websites, it still was about businesses and advertising things about businesses, services, products, and so on. So I really didn't have confidence that commercial really meant TV commercials. But as it turns out, with some experience under my belt and having talked to many people along the way, that's what it is. It's television commercials. All right, so that leaves us then with industrials. So I alluded to that this is actually what refers to business-related activities. So in my mind, again, industrial, really, I had in my mind like oil refineries and chemical factories and electronics outfits that they build cameras and I don't know, industrial. That's heavy industry, building cars, for example. That's what I thought. Not so much. Actually, what industrial means is, and I'll give you an example. So a few weeks ago, I participated in a video project where I was the son of an elderly medical patient, and we were speaking about the various procedures and medical equipment and other things having to do with that industry. And the idea was that I was portraying a role that helped the company for whom I was working to explain to their customers what these medical devices were, what these procedures were all about, and so on. So that's an example of an industrial. Another example would be if you live in the United States of America, we have a retail store called Bed Bath & Beyond, or Home Depot is another one. Often what you'll see is there's a television that's set up in the aisle of one of the aisles as you're shopping, and then there's a video that's played on a loop talking about some latest and greatest product, or whoever knows what, the magic bullet, some kind of blending machine, who knows. That is another example of an industrial video where, as an actor, I am extolling the virtues to the customer about some product, working on behalf of a company that is in the industry. Now let's talk about theater, film, and television. Now, let's start with theater. Theater is not something that I focus on, but I think that you probably had the same impression that I did about theater. Theater is about doing live performances in front of an audience. And coming with, or doing theater, you can imagine that there's a certain characteristic of portraying your role. You need to be loud so that the person in the last row can hear you. You need to be very clear in your diction. You need to, you're very over the top with your hands, perhaps, again, so people can see you in the back. Things like that. So that's a theater project. Now, film and TV is where it gets interesting. There are, in fact, different things going on when it comes to film and television. Naturally, the film and TV projects are ones that you are in front of a camera with a crew that we're portraying a story, right? Naturally, you understand that part. But the difference between a film and TV production as an actor really comes down to the stylistic approach that I take in front of the camera. So what you'll often hear on the film set is a director telling you to do less, and that's the key. Do less. So in film, you're generally less animated and more intense and emotional, generally speaking, whereas on television, it's much more animated. And the key thing with television is that you have to remember how television works. In television, there are commercials, right? There's the beginning of the show, then maybe 3 minutes in or 5, I don't know what the number is, but there's a commercial, there's some more acting, and then another commercial, some more acting, and so on, right? So the idea is that in television, they often will build up to a crescendo, hit a commercial break, and then the denouement happens after the commercial break. And they keep doing that. They do this building thing. And so that is a stylistic difference that is markedly different from what you see in film. So those are the different types of projects that you can work on as an actor coming up in the industry. But I'd like to hear from you. Is there anything that I said here that maybe we can add a little more color? Is there a better explanation that we can give to each other about this? Let's learn from each other. Leave me a comment in the notes below, and yeah, let's talk about it. All right. That is another episode of The Starting Actor. If you enjoyed what you saw here, then consider subscribing, and please come back next time. See you later.